Hello.
Good morning, friends.
Happy Thursday. We're trying something out different with the mic. So I am hoping that this is going to work. The Yeti is not working very well. So I have it based on this right here. But we have coffee and Panda. So we're going to talk world building today. This is a subject that is very, very near and dear to both our hearts. Val has been teaching a 4-week class on OutSchool for a number of years now, and I've been doing map illustration for like 13 to 18 range for both of us. And we utilize it in our, I wouldn't say daily, but sometimes daily life. Um, Val does a lot more with it than I do. Mine's usually project based, but wanted to kind of kickstart how we do it and discuss that. And we both have different approaches to it. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to, or
Put me on the spot. Okay. Um,
And I'll have all the links afterwards below. So the stuff we're talking about.
I don't always start the way other people do. Um, in fact, I probably don't start the way a lot of people recommend that you do, because the way I usually start is with the whole picture.
Mr. I'm not an artist did this map and I am so thrilled. So kudos to
It's just the way I've been drawing since
it's
I was
awesome.
14 or whatever,
Awesome.
for games like D&D and the like. But so I took a bigger map that I've had for quite a while now, that I made in a paint program adjacent, and took a sliver of it off of one section off the southern half of the continent, and used that as kind of like the cross section, and then just drew on 2 pages a big section large enough to begin and have several characters be playing in it at the same time. I started with an inn before I started with characters. I drew out what the inn looks like. I drew out what the inn looks like, who the people of note were, and then like 6 or 7, for lack of a better term, job postings, things that they could do, people they could go talk to do this or that, right? That way, when they get there, there's something for them to do in town, apart from just shop at the blacksmith and buy herbs and things like that. So there's basically a message board, people who need help, people willing to help, or people offering to be paid for their services. Carrying lights, carrying, pack muling for people going adventuring, things like that. And they would get paid by the week or by the month, whatever. So I took an inn, I named it, I created all of the things around it, and then I placed it in a particular place by deciding where do the characters start. And then the inn is placed in that city, and then everything else is drawn around it. For this map, the easiest way that I did it was I threw down about 6 dice, and then I drew lines around the dice, created a number of rivers that separate as natural boundaries, and then decided where I wanted mountains, where I wanted major towns or cities, what looked like major, environmental obstacles or boundaries or natural borders, and then tried to kind of draw the map in that way, where the places where the rivers flowed kind of separated the major parts of the landmass. Some of them would flow off the map, some of them might flow into a lake or something like that, or into the sea. I drew an area up in the top left, created a small ocean, or where it's connected to the sea. That allows you to make things like port cities that are either on the mouth of rivers or right on the ocean itself. things like that. So I decided where the mountains go. I decided part of it would just kind of run off the map. So I kind of took that northern section and ran it kind of northeast. And that's the dragon's teeth.
Yeah.
That
No, I
is
was
up in
like,
the top of that top half
I
of the
like
map.
distracted, but I'm looking for my little map kit because I was going to show people because I do the same thing.
So starting there, now what I'll do is I'll go in and on the next several pages, I'll start with each of the major areas, the major cities, major towns, start writing at the top of the page, create that location, name off people of interest in that area, and then services that are available in those cities based on their size, because not everything is available everywhere. And maybe create just the name of what the inn or the tavern is in that town so that they know whether they can rest there or not. And then go on from there, because really if it fits on a post-it note, that's enough for you to start. And if you have to roll everything else randomly on charts and tables, either by creating ones of your own or finding resources like that online or in books, that's a great place to start.
So start with a location, give everybody jobs, and build out the city around from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can show you that, actually. I have that here. I've been using a really cool system, though.
Yeah, let me
Cairn.
show that one off.
And it's a zine.
And it's a zine. So there's Cairn.
There is a second edition of this game system. It's obviously called Cairn Second Edition. It's a much bigger book, and it actually has its own Warden's Guide as well for the Dungeon Master or Game Master. So there's an entirely separate player's guide that has all the character creation and the basic rules. And then the Warden's Guide has all of the actual setting and world creation material in it. I have a PDF copy, but I do not have a physical copy yet.
We're working on that.
But
I want to get duplicate copies too because I want my own. It's a zine. How can I not? But there's a game on Steam, totally unrelated. But I think they use the same font, which is what threw me off. But
yeah.
It's got the character sheet. It's got everything is half sheet size. Like this is their character sheet, and you can get the character sheet online as a PDF in the mini size in this size in the one page zine size where it's literally a sheet of paper.
I wanted to show these as well.
So it folds into a little booklet, and so they have the character sheet as one of these, which made me really happy.
So what I have here, and actually that's odd that that's not. These aren't the main group that I created. These are like the standby characters.
Yeah.
But I wanted to show these because the game system for this is simplified enough to where I wrote everything for each of these characters on an index card. Mm-hmm. You can take a regular 3x5 card. If you're traveling, you need something small. You don't want to bring around half sheets or full sheets of paper. You can put things on index cards. And if you need to, it fits in a purse, a wallet, something like that. And you have your character sheets.
And he's been so excited. He's been working with an actual number 2 pencil. So
that I just dropped in
that he just dropped
in the abyss.
In the abyss. It's fine. We'll get it later.
Yeah.
So with me teaching map illustration, I base my world building on 2 different things. So when Craft Paper Muse, my magazine, started, it was an actual chunky zine full of educational stuff. And the piece that I had written for it was creating your own postal issuing authority. So when you have postage stamps, you have a issuing authority, where it came from, what country, a monetary amount, which could be pennies, dollars, rubles, euros, whatever, or you can make your own up. We had somebody that made chairs. The number of chairs is how much this was worth. I dove down the paper art rabbit hole in the mid to early 90s and got involved because of a friend in New Mexico who did artist stamps. Her nickname was Dragonfly. Sadly, she's passed. She had breast cancer, so I lost her a number of years ago. Love you, Alice. But we found each other because she went by Dragonfly Dream, and she got me involved with a paper art group and making these artist stamps, which are faux postage. I have them in my little Gnome travel kits. I have a little moon rabbit artist stamp in there. I'll link that below. I still have a few left, but I had to come up with a postal issuing authority. So I came up, my nickname is Dragonfly, especially in the SCA, and Medieval Reenactment Group, if you're not familiar. And so instead of doing Odonata, which is the dragonfly species name, I put an I in there and made it Odonasha. Odonasha has been a project that I started working on when I was pregnant with my daughter. And it started with creating a postal issuing authority. And so I made Odonasha. I made just, U.S. funds and, or just a number in there. And I had to figure out what I was going to draw. And I started thinking about, I collect stamps. So I started thinking about, okay, what do people create stamps for? They commemorate people, holidays, flora, fauna, so birds, flowers, that kind of thing. So I did a Odonashan sunflower and made it into a triangular stamp. And then I started thinking and fell down a very long rabbit hole and was like, oh, what celebrations? Well, what are these people like? Or what are they? And it turned into a book. So it is now a book, a script, and a game. And as soon as Stalemate is out this year, which I am writing 600 words a day, I'm averaging 850 to 1400 a day. So I'm 3 days ahead right now, but I'm writing every day to get it to 90K by May 1st so that I can edit, and then I'm handing it off to an agent. So either way, it's coming out, whether I do it or whether I actually get an offer. But once Stalemate is out, Odonasha is the next one that I'm working on. I've got years of writing. It has grown exponentially. I, at one point, built the island in Minecraft through a world building software. I'll have to look it up. I think it was World Edit or World Paint. I think it's World Paint. But I'll link it, where you can build your own stuff and then import it into Minecraft and actually be there. So I did that to walk the island, because I don't have the room to do like terrain kind of stuff with actual modeling. I would love to do that eventually, for the whole island, because it's got a series of caves, it's got structures, it's got a city, it's got, a landing strip, it's got bunches of stuff. But it started out with that postage stamp. So that was a really good way to kickstart the idea. So the postage stamp thing, try that if you want to start a world and you're not quite sure where to start. And this is bugging me, like OCD, the shelf. Okay. So, but when I started teaching map illustration, so that's one of my stickers. It's a little map. And this is like a candy tin that I got from probably like Trader Joe's or somewhere, and it's full of lentils. So these, I'm dump them out on my desk. They're flat. There's no powder like you get with rice. But these are my starter. This is my map kit. So what I do is like what he did with the dice and throw them out on a piece of paper and draw around it, is I use lentils to come up with a shape, randomly. And it could be a city, it could be island. I usually teach an island and do different terrain and that kind of thing when I'm doing it. But you can see, like, there's a farm area, there's forest, there's mountains. You even have a little Nessie up in the top corner, a little sea dragon, and just randomly generate shapes that way. And then I tell my students to walk the island. So imagine that you are on the shoreline and go through your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? What do is there seagulls? Is there, something rustling in the trees? Is there, can you smell the salt water? Is there fresh water anywhere on the land? Can you smell that earthy, like swampy smell? And I have my students go through all their senses and pick out and kind of generate things from there. This is actually one of the little maps that I had done.
I was really impressed with layout.
Yeah.
From the Warden's Guide. Basically, when you throw the dice down to create the map, not only are you looking at what you rolled on the die on each of them, because it corresponds to a table for how difficult the area is.
Oh, okay.
So is it cool. Is it like, easy terrain like normal civilized areas? Is it terrain where it's very tough to be there, where maybe the monsters are a little more powerful, things like that? And then there's a middle ground where this is an area where maybe you don't want to go till your 5th to 8th level, something like that.
No newbies.
And so in addition to that, where you drop the die on the page, it also said, roll on these tables for a landmark. And so you'd roll a couple of d20s and kind of look at both of them, and it would tell you what kind of landmark to place where that die landed. So you could have things like giant fossilized footprints, or strange obelisks, or some kind of defunct magical gateway or something like that. And
or
that
a petrified forest.
Or a petrified forest, right? I added that on my own, but yeah. I just was like, I'm drawing all these trees. I'm like, let me draw something that looks strange, and maybe it's connected to something else, and that's why it's petrified. So I drew that area of forest and drew it differently and made it look different, so that it looked more petrified or something, or made it look much more ancient. If you don't interpret it as petrified, maybe it is something like an old growth forest.
I like the idea with the dice, incorporating the dice with that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I know with my students, I'm usually take a look at, do you want stone structures? Do you want wood structures? I actually have them drawing different things first before I place cities. So figure out where your mountain's going to be. Is there a volcano? Is there swamp? Is there desert? Is it all forest area? Is it, and have them generate that. Is there a cliff area? You have to draw it differently. Is there a port? You have to draw a little anchor. Have fun, put sea monsters out in the water. But I have them do a topographical style as far as the water. I teach them how to do that. And then we draw things in 3/4 view, kind of a cross between 3/4 view and topside. The 3/4 view is usually the second day where we zoom in, and I teach them how to actually zoom in using quadrants. So their first map is the whole island or string of islands. And then the next day they have to pick a spot, and we literally use grids and zoom in. So their next day is a zoomed in part of their city that they've included. Having landmarks so they have more to draw. So if they have multiple cities, how can you make those cities look different from each other? Maybe the forest people have more wood structures, or if they're closer to the mountain, they've got more stone structures, or maybe they're in the mountain, or on top of the mountain. Whatever your environment is, that dictates the resources that you have to build in that area. So, shoreline, it could be coquina shell. We're from Florida, or I'm from Florida. He's by way of me from Florida. And we have the Castillo de San Marcos in St. Augustine that is built. It's a fortified structure built out of coquina shell. So they'd mix it with concrete, and it would make this thing where the walls are several feet thick, and you can see where cannonballs hit it because it would compress because of the shell. So the walls wouldn't come down, it would just compress into it. So there's cannonball, not holes, but dents all over the walls from being hit from the water. And so maybe they built out of coquina shell, or maybe they built out of, straw and or fronds and, specific trees that would grow in that area. So I have them get into the sensory stuff and the local resources based on that, and just walk the land, build out what you're doing from there, figure out where your port is, how would people get on the island, if there's air islands like these floating rocks above, think Pandora, or think from Avatar, or just this like we have the Wizard's Tower in Guild Wars 2.
Mm-hmm.
This is this floating island. And if you want purple trees and green sky, go for it. It's completely your world. Whatever you want to do is fine. I tend to stick to the reality of what's in our world, and then I kind of shove it over the cliff. So, I have I have stone houses, cliff houses and stuff in Odonasha. I have, it's modern day society looking at some historical stuff from the Victorian era. And so I have a mixture of things, like there's a dirigible, there's, kind of stuff that I can actually look at, which I have an airship manual. It's a vintage airship manual, which is like, I freaked out when I got it, when I found it. But, there's stuff that I can look up and I can research, and somebody's reading it and go, oh, that's kind of cool. Is that real? And they can go, he and I both do that, pull from history. So just being able to work in believable stuff, and then kind of like, maybe there's a monster, maybe there's a sea monster, maybe there's, that kind of thing. So
this is another reason why the 19th century Gothic romance, I call it Gothic romance, but there are elements where it's more like horror story oftentimes, or there will be a romance kind of wedged into a mystery story, kind of like the Castle of Udolpho, things like that, or the House by the Churchyard by Lefanu. These stories where the book's like 1,200 pages long, and what you can do is you can do the type of world generation where you roll dice for the page number and then the word on the page, and then look at the sentence that you pull up from finding that section in the chapter and looking at what it prompts you for, and then take whatever that line is or that series of lines and kind of get a theme for something, and then kind of move the narrative forward from just this random part of the story that you pulled out and read to yourself, you know, where you want to see what kind of what comes to the surface when you read a particular line out of a book. It's kind of like when you just kind of open a book randomly to a page and go, this, I want to read this sentence right here, and kind of go from there.
Yeah.
People
That's
who play,
how I check. That's
people
how I
who play
check
solo
books that I want to read.
RPGs. People who play solo RPGs oftentimes will have like a few of their favorite books, and they'll kind of roll on this table to determine where on a page they found a line, and then they'll read the
That's
line,
cool.
and then they'll kind of use that as a thematic element to narrate. So, yeah.
Ideas.
Yes.
I don't need any more projects.
No.
Actually,
No.
speaking of projects, we're going to try and keep it at half an hour today. If y'all have any questions about world building, feel free to tackle us at any point.
Please do.
I teach one-on-one and mentor and do book cover design, book design, maps. I have a client that's getting ready to have me make all the maps for his book series. Can't wait. The brothers.
Yes.
And so we are working on a book that is combining my class and his class on world building for writing and gaming. It's called From the Ground Up. It's the working title. And it's basically an expansion of, you know, how here's several different ways that you can create a world. Here's several different starting points. I'm very big on teaching people the framework for them to create their own way of doing things. I'm less about you need to do this way. I've never been one to force my viewpoint on stuff like that. It's, you know, especially when I was homeschooling my daughter, I was like, have you thought about this? Have you thought about trying this? Do you want to try this? Do you want to switch mediums? Do you want to, and just let her run with it. And I'm like that with my students as well, adults and kids. And just whatever way works for you and makes sense for you is the right one. I tell people that with social media, pick whatever works for you, and that's the best one, the one that you'll do consistently. But with the map stuff, sky's the limit. Create what you want. Don't let anybody tell you that, oh, that doesn't work. Figure out a system of creation for yourself, something that gets you excited, something that will drive your momentum to create. But the book is very, very much a, kind of melange of the two of us and how we have been building our worlds and stuff for years.
Also, I just really wanted to plug this one more time. This is brilliant.
Yeah.
I have just, in online messages, just, spoken to Yochaigal. He's a fantastic and brilliant person. There's no attack rolls in this. There's only 3 ability scores.
And you gotta love somebody who puts a little flip off in the.
Yes. There's.
I love it.
There's charts in here for when you create your character, things, all these different things. There's a D10 chart there that's got like, what your face looks like, your face shape, what your hair is like, what your skin is like, what your physique is. Maybe you'll roll randomly and you'll come up with someone who's, statuesque or something like that, or flabby, or, whatever. There's several others there.
There's a bestiary that's separate.
There's a separate bestiary.
All of it's
usually
PDF.
Like $5 on Amazon.
Yeah, it's like $5.
This book was, I think, or $5
Yeah.
on Amazon. You can also get it on DriveThruRPG. You can also just get a free PDF copy of it on KarenRPG.com. And
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah. But
Um,
zines.
And it's
They're
a
using
zine.
zines.
It's a half-sheet zine.
Yeah.
So.
I am gonna plug the zine thing here. I've got it. Where is it? So I got this off Kickstarter, and this is called Dark Village. I will link to this. And this is a little slipcover thing, and this is all zines. This is all.
Oh, that's amazing.
One-page.
I didn't know that.
All one-page zines. One of them is a map. Okay, so you have your map with your key, and then each building has a zine. Like this is the public square. This is the photographer's studio. This is the shoe store, and these are all your stats and your storyline, and it kind of feels like a choose your own adventure kind of thing. But they have all the stuff in zine form for each structure, and there's a how to play, I think, prologue, personal diary, cemetery, the widow's stable, the restaurant, the slaughterhouse, the singer's mansion, chess player's place, toy workshop, barn, doctor's office. So it's all zines. It's all the one-page zines, which made me very happy. And it was actually signed and numbered on a little business card. And just
nice.
Seriously cool.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, it's Tiny Concept is the name of the group that created it.
I love small stuff like that.
I will link to stuff like
this. I have several decks of cards.
But it's, yeah, we're both like into.
I have several decks of cards that are just like a deck of cards of NPCs, a deck of cards of, random quests, port city quest givers, things like that. Hirelings that you could take with you on your adventure. Just a whole deck of guys and girls that you can hire to kind of bring along with you on your quest that have a specific job. Things like that.
He works with character sheets a lot. And one of the things he has a habit of doing is he'll come up with a backstory and all these little vignettes of these people that he creates. And I'm trying to convince him to publish those in a book with the actual character sheet that somebody can pull from. But he'll even, like I've talked about it before, when we play Minecraft, he'd build a castle and he'd build catacombs underneath and put a chest and rename all the items and do a book and quill and actually write a history of the dead person that's in these catacombs. And it's brilliant. I love his brain. This is why I married him 14 years ago. And we're coming up on 21 years together in March. So he's been putting up with me for a while. But but I'm going to stop us here because we could talk about world building all day long. So if you have any questions, feel free. I'm going to be editing the details here after the stream and I have to rewatch and talk about what we talked about and link everything. So that will be up later today. But thank you so much for hanging out with us. And if you're watching the VOD later on, we are looking to improve things on the channel as far like doing an intro and an outro and something a little more serious. But still have fun with it. And we will see you Thursday next week. If you have suggestions on topics, feel free to post those below. We're just kind of free form for the most part. And my next live stream is Saturday at noon Eastern Standard on Twitch, and I'll have that linked, and that is art. So maybe we'll make a map. I don't know. We'll do something zine-like, I think, but we'll figure it out.
Fantastic.
But have a great rest of your day. Stay well, stay safe, wear your mask, wash your hands, stay warm, please. Our here in Kentucky, we have a lot of ice right now. It's really dangerous. So I haven't really been out of the house in 2 weeks.
Well, at least
we're
almost a week.
Week and a half, 2 weeks almost. But yeah, it's an ice skating rink out there right now. So, but take care of yourself, take care of each other, and we will see you next week.